Greetings, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. At this point in time, I have dedicated a lot of my time here talking about parents, toxic parents, and a lot of the time, estranged parents. But I realized the other day that I actually have not talked about estranged parents from the estranged parents' point of view for a hot minute now. I have gone over email submissions from you and read so many emails telling your sides of the story of why you don't talk to your parents anymore for very valid reasons, to just like mix it up a bit. And I realized that it's been a while since we've looked at some estranged parents and gotten mad and frustrated about what comes out of their mouths. And I wanted to do that again because I have missed yelling at estranged parents. And recently I was made aware of this woman who posts on Facebook called Cat's Corner, spelt with a K. Both of those words are spelt with a K. And I need to talk about her. So today we are looking at this woman who is estranged from one of her children or multiple of her children. I actually am not entirely sure, and seeing what she has to say. And if you like this video and want to see more like it, please do not forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I love making this estranged parent content. It's truly like my favorite content to make. And if you want to see more of it, hit subscribe so you don't miss more of it in the future. It is the best way to help me and my channel, and I really do truly appreciate it. So if you aren't already, do that right now. Before we get into it, every time I wear this dress, I get so many comments saying, "That's a really cool shirt, where did you get it?" So number one, this is a dress, not a shirt. And I am obsessed with it. I love it. I'll put up a photo of what the whole dress looks like. And as to where I got it, I'm not gonna gatekeep. This is from Collective. I feel like it's possibly just a UK brand, but maybe they ship overseas. I don't know. But that's where this dress is from. I love it. You love it. You're welcome. If you like the dress, drop a like. And if you want to see more fashion content, follow me on Instagram. I post about my clothes quite a lot because I like my clothes. So yeah, now that I have that out of the way, let me tell you a little bit about this woman. This woman is not just some woman who posts about the difficulties of being an estranged parent on the internet like Doormat Mom does and many of these other estranged parent influencers. No. She also has a course, because of course she does, like a paid course that she runs. You know how Doormat Mom has a Facebook group for other estranged parents? She also has a community group, but you have to pay $5 a month to join this group. And when you join this group, you get one 45-minute live training each month, one focused training module each month, a monthly newsletter with insight and guidance, and exclusive 50% off all recorded training. So yeah, $5 a month, you can join her community and get 45-minute classes on, I don't know, how to deal with being an estranged parent, I suppose. She has other options too. For $27, you get recorded training reclaiming your parental confidence, which also includes one private space. And that is Reclaiming Parental Confidence is a live class for parents who feel like they've lost their footing in the relationship with their adult child. When estrangement, distance, or constant conflict happens, many parents find themselves chasing, over-explaining, apologizing endlessly, and slowly giving away their confidence just to keep the connection alive. And she also does individual coaching sessions where for 40 minutes she will help you navigate estrangement, no contact, and complex family dynamics. There is also a parent's guide, full course 80 minutes, which is 10 lessons. It's 10 modules where you go step by step through the estrangement cycle, from the naive stage and shock through chasing and collapse, all the way to strength and steadiness. And that's $27 for those 10 lessons. And now listen, I'm not laughing at this in the sense that like getting help and support and like going to therapy is like a haha funny thing. I think that if you're in a difficult situation and like obviously being an estranged parent is going to be stressful, right? We're gonna go in and we're gonna talk about how obnoxious these people are, but I'm not gonna deny the fact that obviously they're distressed, right? And they do need therapy. They needed therapy before they got to this point and they need therapy now. However, this is not an online course, not a person selling like 10 videos of her being like, this is how it feels to be an estranged parent and like taking your money. Granted, at least it's $27 and not hundreds like a lot of people charge. And she did go to university. She does have a degree in some sort of psychology. So at least there's that. However, no, especially paying to be a part of like a support group when there are literally dozens of estranged parent groups on Facebook. It's always so funny. You see so many people when you go into these estranged groups and you see estranged parents, they're like, I thought I was alone. I never thought I would find a community. Do you know how many estranged parent groups I myself am in? And I'm not even in all of them. I get recommended new estranged parent groups every single day on Facebook. Every time I open my burner account, I get told to join so many different estranged parent groups. There's so many, and each one of them, like most of them have over 1,000 members. On average, it's like 3,000 people in each group. There's so many support groups, okay? You don't need to pay $5 a month to be a part of an estranged parent support group. There's so many, and they're free. Go to one of those, and then I'll find it, and I will make fun of you. Maybe that's why they pay. Means they can't get made fun of by me. Luckily, we also don't have to pay because despite this woman charging you to like watch her videos, she does also post reels and like a lot of reels. And so I don't know what the course contains considering she posts all of this knowledge for free, but I'm not going to complain because it means we get to watch them for free. So let's have a jump. Let's have a dive into some of the bullshit that this woman says about being an estranged parent and how you can survive being an estranged parent too.
I'm sorry. The evidence does not support that you were a bad parent, and you do not have to participate in rewriting decades of consistent love because of one strained adult relationship. They do not get to erase presence, provisions, protection, and sacrifice with a single accusation. Yes, you were imperfect. I don't even want to say that. Yes, you raised your voice. Yes, you made mistakes. But imperfection is not abuse and conflict is not cruelty. The record shows who showed up. The record shows who paid the bills, sat at the games, stayed up when they were sick, carried the weight when life was hard, felt every emotion that their child did. A narrative formed in adulthood does not invalidate years of stability. Feelings are powerful, but they are not forensic evidence. So if you start thinking about, no. Doubt your doubts. Don't doubt what you already know to be true. Like, why are we doing that? We're not going to do that. We can't. We shan't. We mustn't. We won't.
The projection. The projection. The evidence doesn't say that you were a bad parent. You don't know that. You cannot possibly know. You cannot make that as a blanket statement, ma'am. You cannot make that. For all you know, the people watching your videos fucking locked their kids in the closet without dinner. You don't know. You are making a blanket statement to all estranged parents saying there's no evidence you were a bad parent. You can't say that because it's not true. You don't know who you're talking to. And also, you just discard the evidence. This whole idea of being like, you know that you provided for them, you paid their bills, you comforted them, you fed them. You have to do those things. That is expected of you. That is bare minimum. Don't know how many times we all have to say this to you, but those are bare minimum requirements. That doesn't make you a good parent. That makes you just like a neutral parent. That just means you have like fulfilled your role that is legally required of you. Yeah, it doesn't make you good. It makes you very neutral, bare minimum parent. Yeah? And then going on to be like, they come to you and say that you hurt them, but you know that you didn't. They're rewriting the narrative. So, like, don't believe them. Don't listen to them. They're making shit up. Trust yourself. I don't know why you think that's gonna fly. If you think that they can alter their memories, why can you not alter yours? Why is everything you believe true and everything they believe is fake? If they're making stuff up, why are you not making stuff up? You know your truth. They know their truth too. Right? Why do you automatically assume that they're lying to you? Maybe you're lying to yourself. Maybe you've blocked things out of your memory. Or maybe you just didn't think about the fact that your actions impacted them in that way. Listen to them. Hear them out. Have a conversation. Yeah? Yes, you are flawed. Everyone is flawed. But sometimes those mistakes are bigger than you think that they are, and you need to listen to the damage that they have done if you want to heal anything. It's so frustrating to sit here and be like, you are perfect and your child is a liar. I fucking wonder why they don't talk to you. I wonder why your kids don't talk to you. Maybe it's because you don't believe anything and you like say that you aren't perfect, but like you act as though you are.
You loved your child imperfectly, and so did every other parent who ever lived.
Pause already. No. Again, you can't make blanket statements like this. You loved your child imperfectly, and so did every other parent who ever existed. No? Do you know how many parents don't love their kids? It's a lot. The number is very, very high. There are parents who fucking kill their kids. There are parents who do the most heinous, horrible shit to their kids. There are so many parents who do not give a single fuck about their kids. You cannot sit here and be like, every single parent loved their children imperfectly. No. And the fact you think that, the fact your bar is that you are like every other parent says enough about you already. If you cannot acknowledge that there are bad parents who don't love their kids, I don't trust any of your opinions about the love of parents. Like, I just don't, I think you are putting the bar way too low. You should not be like, I am like every other parent. I just don't think that that's like where you should be sitting comfortably, you know? Like, if you are ignoring the harm that parents can cause, you are in denial and you are harming your case.
But somewhere along the way, imperfect became unforgivable. And now you're sitting here wondering where it all went wrong. You were found guilty without a trial, sentenced without ever getting to speak. Someone got to their ear. A therapist who never met you diagnosed you.
Pausing once again. It's really funny because I was talking about this to my therapist recently. My therapist loves that I make these videos. When I told her that I moved my content into a lot of talking about parenting, she was so stoked and she is very proud of me for this. And she's like, you have to keep making these videos because I think it'll really help people. And I'm like, thank you for encouraging me. I appreciate this. I'm glad that you appreciate my job. Anyway, that's beside the point. I was talking to her about this and saying, I was like, do you know how many estranged parents say that therapists are the problem because they say that therapists will tell their kids to go no contact? And she just looked at me and she's like, these people. And I was like, I know, right? They've never talked to a therapist in their life. Like, good therapists do not tell you to go no contact with people. That's not what they do. That is never going to be a therapist's first like input because a therapist doesn't tell you what to do. The point of therapy is that they help you decide what is best for you. A good therapist will never say to you, cut your parents off. If you say to your therapist, I want to cut my parents off, they will say why. Do you think that's the best decision? And help you work towards whether that is actually something you want to do and help you go about that in the way that is going to be best for you. But they are not going to suggest that to you. They aren't going to do that. They don't even tell you to leave like abusive situations because you cannot make those decisions. Like, someone else cannot force you to make those decisions. These are decisions you have to make for yourself. And a therapist is there to guide you towards what is best for you. That is their job. Yeah. And as far as like, they poison them against you. They poison your kids against you. They always blame the parents. Therapists always say everything is the parents' fault. Yeah, that's because it is. That's because it usually is. Because I feel like it's pretty obvious, but you raised your child. Your child's first experience with the world is through you. You taught them what love looks like. You taught them what emotions are. You taught them how people are going to react to specific actions. You taught them what the consequences were for certain things. Like, everything they know about the world, they got from you. And if they didn't get it from you, they got it from the lack of you, right? And if you were not present, like if you gave them like so much freedom that you had no idea what they were up to at any point in time, what they learned in that absence of you is also your fault because you were not present enough to like help guide them. Yeah. So everything that happens to them in their early childhood, like the core of who a person is, comes down to what they learn from their parents or from what their parents expose them to. But you don't realize that a lot of the time, right? Like, as an adult, you can be like really fucked up about specific things and not really understand why you react to specific things in a certain way. And then you will have like severe anxiety and you will go to therapy and you start working through everything. And you will often come to a point where you're like, oh my God, this is like how my parent used to do this. And I responded like that, and that's still around from this. You don't fit the pieces together until you are in therapy and talking this shit out. Do you know how many times I've been in therapy and I'm talking about something that I'm experiencing and being like, I don't understand why I react so strongly. I don't understand why this upsets me so much. And then I will like reflect and I'll think about like a specific memory from when I was a teenager, and then I'll connect it and be like, oh, that's also kind of like this one thing from when I was this age. Oh, it's kind of like, and then I'm like, oh, it all goes back to this like constant pattern that happened when I was like 4. Like it's just like this repeating thing, and this action will repeat at certain points in your life because you learned that that was normal. So you've gone through, and then you figure it out. You find the starting point, and almost every time it goes back to your parents. So yeah, parents are often going to be blamed for a lot of trauma stuff, and that's just because a lot of the time they're the problem. Even when it comes to being in bad relationships and bad situations later in life, a lot of the time your parents or a parent or caregiver, whatever, like the way they loved you is a big contributing factor to the love that you accept later in life. So a lot of bad relationships and situations people get into, it is because of your parents still. So even traumatic things that happen away from your parents, in a lot of instances, it is your parents that led you to that situation. So like, you are going to get blamed. I'm sorry, because most of the time, it is your fault. And if you got therapy, maybe it wouldn't have happened. Maybe they wouldn't be in this position where they are getting therapy. Maybe you would have been in therapy and told it was your parents' fault, and then you would be better.
A partner who never knew you decided who you were. And suddenly, 20 or 30 years of loving that child meant absolutely nothing. They took your grandchildren. They blocked you everywhere. They sent you a letter written like a legal document listing every mistake, and some you didn't make as a human being. And you just had to sit there and take it.
Listen, man, I recently asked people to send me emails with their estrangement stories. I asked people to email me reasons they don't talk to their parents anymore and how they got there. And I got hundreds of emails. And I read every single one of them. I dedicated days to this. I read hundreds of emails of people telling me their estrangement stories. Do you know how many of them said, I wrote a detailed list explaining all of the reasons I don't want to talk to them anymore and listing out all of their mistakes, and then I sent it to them like a legal document? Do you know how many said that? Zero. There was not a single one that said that. Not a single one. And now I understand my sample pool wasn't huge. Like it's like 300 or 400. So that's like not a massive amount of people considering how many people are estranged. However, 0% in a sample pool of like several hundred it's not insignificant. So like, if this is something that happened to you, you are in a massive minority here. And so sitting here and projecting and being like, all these estranged, like all these parents are getting these like legal letters listing out all of the mistakes, that's not something that's happening. Like that happened to you maybe, but it's not, that is not a common thing that's happening. You cannot, don't talk about that like that's something everyone is experiencing. This is just showing that you actually are not participating in the community that you are saying you are building, and you are not actually talking to estranged parents. You are just projecting and sharing your own story as though this is something that everyone experiences. And even if that is something you've experienced, I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. I think it shows that like you are hard to communicate with, and they have to tell you analytically all of the things that you have done that have hurt them, and they want you to acknowledge that. And if you are like, oh, why are you giving it to me like this? It's because you didn't listen. And this is the only way they think they can get through to you. And I don't really necessarily think that that's a bad thing, because it means that there's no fighting, because they've just straight up told you, and it makes it hard for you to deny if it's written out in front of you. And if your response is to just be really defensive and not acknowledge anything that was written down, you are the problem. And they were right.
I am not going to have one conversation justifying or explaining what kind of a parent I was. I already know what kind of parent I was. A parent in my group said that tonight, and I just thought, yes, that is what healing looks like. If someone ever chooses to come back into your life, you do not have to spend your first conversations defending decades of parenting as though you're on trial. Healthy reconciliation isn't built on one person demanding explanations while the other begs to be believed. It's built on mutual humility, accountability, honesty, and respect. You already know the love you gave. You already know the sacrifices that you made. You already know where you succeeded and probably where you fell short. None of us parented perfectly. But that doesn't mean you have to accept someone else's version of your life. And if by your grace you decide to open the door again after everything you've endured, remember this. Access to your life is no longer an entitlement. It is a privilege.
You don't know what type of parent you are because you are not the one receiving the parenting. You know it from your perspective, but you don't know it from your child's perspective. The way they feel is different to the way you feel. You are the one doing the parenting, not receiving it. That is a very different thing. You cannot be like objective about the way like you are affecting other people because you are not on the receiving end of that. So like if you are saying and doing things that you think are totally fine and harmless, but you are being told like this is harmful and you're like, no, it's not. I know what type of parent I am and I'm not doing any harm. You are doing harm because you aren't listening. Just because you think that it's okay doesn't mean that it actually is, right? It's not about you. This is about your kid. Just because your intentions were good does not mean it actually was good. And this is why communication is important and why you have to actually listen to and respect your child. If your child wants a conversation about what type of parent you are and how your parenting affected them, you need to have that conversation. You need to open that space to have that conversation and actually listen to it. And you can't just sit there and be defensive about it and be like, I know my reality. I don't have to justify myself to you. I know reality. I know what's true. You don't know what's true. Because it's so hypocritical of being like, they're always accusing me of being a liar. They're always accusing me of being a liar and making things up. But I'm not. They are. They're being a liar and they're making stuff up. Just listen. Just hear them out. Because emotions aren't lies. The way they feel is true. Even if you don't understand what caused the emotion, have a conversation about it and at least try to understand. Have some compassion. If you aren't willing to have a conversation and have compassion for your child and apologize for the fact that you have upset them, you don't care about them as much as you claim you do.
One of the most painful things estrangement can do is make you question your own reality. You start replaying birthdays and vacations, holidays, conversations, and ordinary moments over and over again. You wonder, was I really that bad? Did I miss something? Was everything I believe about our relationship a lie? And after hearing one version of the story enough times, you begin to doubt your own memories. Healthy people reflect. They take responsibility. They ask themselves hard questions. But there is a difference. There's a difference between honest self-reflection and abandoning your own reality. You were there. You lived those years. You know the bedtime stories, the soccer games, the sacrifices, the tears, the laughter, the ride to school, the sleepless nights, the celebration, and yes, the mistakes. All of it happened. Don't let someone else's conclusion erase an entire lifetime of experience.
They also lived it, right? They also lived it. This is the whole thing. You were there for the soccer games. You were there for all of it. You were there. You know who else was there? Your child. Your child. Why are your memories correct and their memories aren't? I don't the complete lack of accountability is infuriating. The fact that they truly, she's just here being like, your child's a liar. Your kid's a liar. You are always right and they are always wrong. And then they're like, why don't my kids talk to me anymore? Maybe because you don't believe them and you think that you are correct all of the time and they don't have a voice at all. And you make them feel insane for just experiencing an emotion and remembering something. Maybe they don't appreciate being gaslit into thinking their trauma isn't real. Maybe that's why they don't talk to you anymore. Just a thought. It's so frustrating because she's like, people falsify memories. Your kids make stuff up. They remember things that didn't actually happen. And she's so set and okay with the fact that that's a reality, but she cannot fathom the idea of someone forgetting something. Why do you think it's easier for someone to make up a memory than it is for someone to forget? Because last I checked, forgetting things is something that a lot of people do. People forget things and people forget painful memories too. You are more likely to forget the harm that you've caused. You are more likely to forget the pain you have inflicted than you are to forget the pain you have endured. The saying, right? The axe forgets and the tree remembers. Yeah. If you are hurting someone and you do it regularly enough, like it's just another day, you do just forget that. You don't really think about it. There are so many things. There are so many things that have really affected my life and have made it have been so fundamental to who I am as a person in a trauma type of way, right? That has been caused by my parents. And I know if I brought it up, they would not remember. It just would not be something they remember. And it's not something that I ever intend to bring up because I don't feel like being invalidated for these memories. I don't feel like getting into it. I don't want to be called a liar or be gaslit. Like, these are my memories and I hold them and I know that they're true and I don't need to bring them up. That is like a personal decision that I have made for my own peace. But I know that my parents like won't remember that. And there's not going to be a good conversation that would come with me bringing that up. And I have come to peace with that, kind of. Right? Like, I know that to be true. And I know what is real, even if they do not know what is real. But for some people, they do need to talk this out. There are some people who do need to have these conversations and need to move past that in order to feel peace. And they are going to have those memories and it's going to suck for you to hear. Like, you don't want to hear that you have hurt your child, but just because you don't want to hear it doesn't mean it's not real. Like, I understand the idea of hurting your kid. It hurts. It's a painful thing to do. So it's easier to deny it and forget about it and then gaslight them into being like, I never hurt you, than it is to acknowledge that you caused that hurt. But all that's going to do is push them away further, right? Don't just hold your ground and say that you're right and you didn't hurt your kid, because your kid is hurting and they deserve to be listened to. And here's the other thing as well, right? Like I said, things mean different things to different people, and things are a lot bigger to a kid than they are to you. What wasn't a big deal to you might have been a massive deal to them. One of the examples so many of these people like to use, and especially it's one doormat mom brought up a lot, so I'm going to use it again, is like being forgotten to be picked up, right? Let's use this as an example. Maybe your kid was 5 years old and you forgot to pick them up, and they were waiting by themselves for like an hour. And to you, that's not a massive thing, right? You apologized, you know, you were busy, time got away from you, so you didn't pick up your kid. It's fine. It's one time. It's not going to affect them. But for some kids, that's like a huge deal. Like, there are circumstances that are going to impact this a lot, but like for a 5-year-old, an hour is a very long time. Being alone is very scary. And so there's going to be this big level of fear that comes with that. And if you invalidate that emotion, if you, like, when they express being upset about it, are like, oh, it was just one time, and you don't like actively help them through the emotions that they are feeling when they come out of that, then over time, potentially that memory does change and it does morph into something that is a bit more extreme than that. Like, that's what happens. They were 5 and they felt this big level of fear. And as they got older, the level of fear doesn't so much align to the situation, and so their brains fill in the gaps and make it into something that was scarier because the emotion they felt was big, and so the memory adjusts to make the emotion fit to how they are feeling at that point in time. So like when they were 5 years old and they were left by themselves for an hour and they were terrified, right? By the time they get to like 9, maybe the idea of being left alone by themselves for an hour isn't like such a terrifying thing, but they remember that fear that they felt. And so when they think back on that memory of like, why was I so scared? Why did I feel this big level of terror? In the memory now, there was like a man there who was like watching them and making them feel incredibly uncomfortable. And then as they get older still, that level of fear is still there, and they think back with that level of fear. And now in their memory, there was like an attempted kidnapping that happened, because it's trying to fill in this space that makes the fear, like the emotion that they were feeling, match the memory. And so that can be a way that like memories are falsified, because they felt this emotion, and although it never happened, the emotion was there. They did feel that level of fear, and obviously it wasn't worked through enough at the time. You didn't help them deal with that emotion and overcome that. You didn't have a conversation with them about what they were going through. This was not a conversation that was open. This was not something that you had like a good, solid communication about. And so it's manifested into this big trauma that maybe has a falsified memory, but to them it feels very real, and it is your fault. And also, even if that didn't happen, it's something that could have happened, right? So it's like, it's a good thing that they weren't kidnapped or there was no attempted kidnapping, but it was a situation in which that potentially could have happened. And so that anxiety and fear makes some sort of sense. But because they have this level of fear around being left alone, they now are like moving through life with this fear of being left alone and this false memory that feels real. Like there are so many reasons that our brains make up memories. And just because they didn't actually happen doesn't mean that the emotion wasn't real, right? That's what I'm trying to get at. And I think that you have to acknowledge that. And I think if your kid is coming to you with a made up memory or a memory that you don't remember, like maybe it's made up, maybe it's not, maybe it's like over dramatized in their head, it might be real to them. And so it warrants a conversation. You cannot just shut them down. If your kid comes to you, like in this situation, and they're like, I don't know, even in their 20s, and they say, when I was 5, you forgot me, and I was almost kidnapped, and it was the scariest thing I've ever gone through, and it's fucked me up. You don't just be like, that never happened, calm down and get over it, I just forgot you one time, because that's not going to help anything. You sit there and you talk about it and you go through what they remember and you talk about what you remember and you come to some sort of conversation and like talk through their emotions and you apologize for the fear that they were feeling and you work through that and you listen to them. You don't just invalidate them and shut them down and get mad at them for having this memory because their memory is real to them, okay? And you can tell them that it's not true, but like you have to acknowledge why that memory is there and you have to talk about how it happened and acknowledge your part in that. And then maybe they can heal and you can heal together.
Intentional hurt, unintentional hurt, what's the difference? It's actually pretty simple. Ask yourself one question. Was hurting the other person the goal? Let me give you 2 examples. An adult child posts a picture with a friend on Facebook and says, best friends forever. Their parent sees it and feels hurt because they're not included. The hurt is real, but it's unintentional. Because the purpose of the post wasn't to wound the parent. Now compare that to an adult child posting, I finally found a real mom, tagging everybody in it and making sure their own mother sees it. In that case, the pain isn't a byproduct. The pain is the message. That's intentional hurt.
If your kid posts a photo with their best friend and says best friends forever, and your response as a parent is to feel hurt, I don't need any further information. I already know why your kid doesn't talk to you. What kind of parent gets hurt over their kid having a best friend and posting about having a best friend? You are the problem. And you are feeling way too possessive over your kid, and you are the problem in this situation, and I understand why they don't talk to you. Don't be mad at your kid for having a best friend. Don't feel left out of that. Yeah? That's not your job. The second one, I feel there's so much like main character syndrome selfishness that happens here, right? Because like there are things to take into consideration. When your kid posts, I finally found a real mom and tags everyone in it and like you can see that and she knows you can see that. What is the situation? Was this immediately after a fight or is this like you haven't spoken in 5 years and she's posting this? Because those are 2 very different situations. Those are 2 completely different things. One, if it is posted immediately after you have a fight, that is done with the intention to hurt in a sense of like claiming back some control because they feel hurt over what you have done and they are trying to claim some power back over the situation in which they feel as though you've hurt them. So they're going to hurt you back, right? That's what's happening in that situation. If it's something that's like years down the line and you've not spoken to them and they're posting this, it actually has nothing to do with you and you're making it about yourself. That post is just them being happy and feeling accepted and celebrating love and joy because they haven't gotten to do that. And you happen to see it, but the intention was not to hurt you. You just think that everything is about you. And so you think that them posting it was a target towards you. It wasn't. That was for themselves. That was for this mother figure they have. That was for love. And it wasn't for you. You've just seen it as an attack. So there is a difference there. Either way, it is about claiming power back and like finding love in your life. And the way you view it is up to you to interpret. It's not necessarily to hurt you. And you need to acknowledge that. Acknowledge the circumstances of a situation. And also if something is posted to hurt you, consider why.
Dear no contact kid, can I just ask you an honest question? Do you think it's fair to expect your parents to continue paying for your tuition, your rent, your car insurance, your phone, your health insurance, your vacation, your spending money, your emergency money, and your future, while also refusing to speak to them for months or even years? You say you don't owe them anything. Does that mean that they owe you everything? Because relationships involve both connection and responsibility.
And naturally on this, this had 1.3k likes and 1.4k comments, and all of the comments are like, we don't want your money. We don't want your money. Kids who are no contact with their parents do not typically want financial support. We know we're going to be written out of the will. We don't want it. We're not going to ask you for financial help. We don't want it. No contact means no contact. We don't want your fucking money. If you are estranged, if your kids are no contact with you, the chance of them wanting financial support from you is so low. Even people who are like in contact with their parents don't expect financial support from their parents. It's like, I know that I could get financial support if I wanted it. Like if I required financial support, I know I'm in a position where I would be able to get that if I needed it. However, I don't ask my mom to pay for anything for me because I am able to support myself. If I were to ask my mom to pay for something for me, it's because I am in a situation where I am really truly struggling, right? And I think that like, if your child is really truly struggling and needs your financial help, you should want to give it to them whether you are in contact or not, because you are still their parent. You still claim to love them. And I cannot imagine wanting my child to suffer even if they don't have a relationship with me. Like, I feel like you should want to help your child should you be in a situation where you are able and they need that. However, most of the time, these kids don't even want that. They don't want your financial support. They don't want your money. They want to be independent. And if your kid comes and asks you for financial aid, even after they've cut you out of their life, chances are they are feeling so desperate and have run out of options. And you are their last resort. Like, they don't know what else to do. And so they've come to you. And if that's not the case, I've never seen a case of kids who don't talk to their parents and have truly cut them off, asking for financial support and asking for money. It's just like, it's not something that they want. And you've made this into such a bigger thing than it actually is. Like, this is not the majority of people. So, and it's just projection. This is all so much projection. These estranged parents project all their own bullshit and also just make stuff up as well. Your story is not everyone's story, and what you think is happening to you is also a lot of the time not actually what's happening to you. Like, sorry, I'm questioning your reality, just like you question your child's reality. I think that you've forgotten a lot of shit. You are changing your own memories to benefit you, and you are just putting a lot of bullshit out there to make yourself into a victim. You are doing everything you accuse your child of doing. So, that's what I have to say about that. So this has been Kat's Corner. I love talking about these estranged parents, as you know. If you would like to see me make another video about her, because she has so many more reels and things, then do let me know, or feel free to let me know some more estranged parents. If you are estranged from your parent, I'm really sorry that that's a position that you've ended up in. I'm sorry that you've, gone through some shit and had to make some tough calls, but I hope that you are like in a good place now and like feeling at least confident in the decision that you've made. And I hope that you're able to work through stuff and like feel more solid and happy and healthy without them in your life. A huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons: Eden, Amelia, Rain Remaining, Mossy Moose, Bingo Bango, Who Ate My Mango, Kiarum, Bug Loves Cats, Kojo, The Beebs, Tess, Bree, Chastity, Beckett, Prismatic Petey, Sushi Kawaii, Phil the Duck, River, Queen Glimmer, Ella, Mr. Noodle, Radsack, Knitting Menace, Chris, Ellie, Ikazel, Alexis, and Nevea. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah. When you close your eyes.